Hi, I'm Brad Smart, founder of Topgrading, and frequently referred to as the world's #1 expert on hiring. I doubt that I'm really the #1 expert in the world on hiring, but I do have a lot of experience and have written a lot of books, including bestsellers, and I think I have the experience to help you achieve what so many companies, thousands and thousands of managers have achieved. And that's better than 80% high performers hired. Not okay performers hired, but high performers hired. So this is the second in a new series called Beginning Topgrading, and hope you stick with it because we'll have a lot of blogs that really are time tested and will help you hire better. To begin, two of the biggest problems in hiring are, and I had this in the first blog, but I'm going to repeat it, candidate dishonesty. Candidate dishonesty in the resumes and in interviews. And our research indicates that about 40% of resumes contain deliberate falsehoods, claiming to have worked for that company when they didn't, or attended that university and didn't, got that degree or certification and didn't. You get the picture. The second problem is poor verifications of what candidates tell you, what they tell you in their resume or their profile, tell you in interviews and so forth. And the reason for that poor verification, as you know, is you can do background checks and verify some things that are of interest, but the verification you want would be talking with the managers a candidate reported to and have them tell you the whole truth, right? Right. So the first two blogs give you the quick, easy, but highly effective solutions to those problems. In case you don't want to go back and read the first blog, or you read it but you want a reminder, I'll tell you what it is. The first blog said administer a truth serum right out of the starting gate in the hiring process. Okay? Tell candidates this. Candidate, a final step in hiring is for you, candidate, to arrange reference calls with the people I'd like to talk with. All the people you reported to in the past 10 years, and because this is a managerial job, probably a couple of peers and a couple of direct reports. Okay. And if they blanch and pass out, then you've got your answer there. But high performers, millions, literally millions of high performers, say yes. I'd be happy to do that. And yes, they are happy to do that, and they do it. Okay. So here's tip number 2, okay? How to get the whole truth in interviews. And I put it in the title, just ask them. It's about that simple, but I'll add some dimension to that recommendation. Later in this series, I'll describe the most proven and effective interview techniques. All right, so stay tuned. But for now, just do this. After all your interviews or tests or whatever you do in hiring, at the time that you're about ready to provide a job offer, we'll pretend it's a managerial candidate, ask that managerial candidate to arrange reference calls with, I already said it, all their bosses in the past 10 years. And there's an asterisk on that. I'll handle this in a future blog of what to do about the current boss. Okay. Secondly, yes, you want to know what peers think of your candidate, because they're going to have to interact with peers. Are they good team players? So you want to ask for A players. The C players might give you some not very useful information because that's what they do all the time. A player peers, a couple of those, and the same with direct reports. We all know lots of managers who are really nice in how they manage upward, but not so nice when they manage downward, right? Or many other things. So again, ask for A players. A couple of A players who have reported to your candidate in the past maybe 2 or 3 years. And a little bit of clarification. Although the truth serum says a final step in hiring is for candidates to arrange calls, they don't actually arrange them like an executive assistant might. They just talk to people on your list and say, Pat, right, the person I'd report to would like very much to talk with you. Okay? And they almost always say okay. And then you, as the hiring manager, then ask, what should I tell Pat is your availability and what number to call? A lot of times the availability is in the evening and the call is on the cell phone. Okay? So you just pass that information on to anyone else that you might participate with in the reference calls. And I strongly, strongly recommend that if you're the hiring manager, you don't delegate this to human resources or someone else. It's like you were sitting on the plane with the manager of a candidate you're about to hire, and you strike up a conversation. Hey, really? So we were going to actually talk, and yes, then you have that conversation. You do what you do to build the rapport, and then you ask the obvious sort of questions. But essentially, you kind of build the trust so the person opens up with you, and it's amazingly useful for you. So there's maybe another tip in there. Don't delegate that. You could have someone else on the call, sure, but be sure you hear the responses to those calls. Okay? So I'm giving you some tips here. I hope you use them. And are you a little eager to maybe learn a little bit more about top grading? If so, you can go to topgrading.com and download the 45-page or so e-guide. They're small pages, so it's a pretty easy read. But it's called Top Grading 4.0, and you can do that at www.topgrading.com. Till the next tip, try these tips if you're hiring right now. I promise you they'll work and you will hire better.